he saw it in his flesh to give him life, that would have been the storm. And so the way the grace stilled the storm was that the word of grace would come and remind him and bring forth in him that it wasn't going to be by him or his ability or the flesh that he had that he would have life, but it would be by God and God's grace and strength that he would find life. And see, that stilled his soul because it took his eyes off of the flesh that was dying. It took his eyes. See, his eyes could see that the flesh was dying. That flesh was trying to tell him, that's where your life is hid, man. Mm-hmm. Your ability to have life is found in this flesh that's dying. Mm-hmm. That caused the storm to be, pressing on and then waves crashing in. But the word of grace came and stilled the storm because it came and told him, you are my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Yes. And your ability to find life is not found in that flesh that you have that's dying right now. But it's found in me, in my strength, and my ability. And I promise you, I will raise up even that flesh that is dying by my spirit of grace. And I will even animate that flesh that's dying with eternal life. And that's still the storm. That's why it's called, He leadeth me beside the still waters of grace. Whenever we feel stressed out, it's because we're either looking to something else for life or we're looking to our ability. Yeah, right. And we perceive an inability. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like if we see something negative going on and we perceive, not just a negative thing, but an inability to do something about it, we feel a storm. Sure. And then He comes to still the storm by reminding us that it's not by us or our doing or our ability, but it's by Him. Now all of a sudden our eyes get off of us and whatever inability we think we possess, and it gets on Him and His ability. And by the way, He's El Shaddai, which means He's the all-sufficient one. Mm-hmm. Which means there is no inability in God. Right. There's zero. And so when I begin to look for the word of my ability to have life in His ability instead of my own, that stills everything. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's what it means to be led beside the still waters of grace. Grace stills you. Like, do you guys remember how we felt when we were trying to bring forth fruit through the law? Yeah. You remember how that felt? Yeah. Always laboring and toiling, what that felt like? We were kind of like in a storm. Mm-hmm. And all we could see was our inability to bring forth life. That's a picture of part of what was going on in Jesus as He hung on the cross. You notice how when you guys first heard the word of grace, the way that stilled everything. Yeah. See, somebody come along and reveal to you that it wasn't by you or your works, but it was by God and His grace.
That's
and,
right.
That's right. Yeah, you felt the stillness. You see, we were all led beside the still waters of grace. Yes. In that very way. That's what the Father come and done with Jesus through His Spirit as He hung on the cross and He perceived death in His body and saw His inability in that flesh to give Him life. Right? The still waters of grace. Now the message of grace came to Him the same way it comes to all of us through Him. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Totally.